But no! Bronies just for some reason always has to find something to hate in the fandom, and Alicorns tend to be the primary topic. 2 words for you, Rosie, that I hear constantly. For every brony who tries to make a decent Alicorn OC, Mary Sue! Or Gary Sue if
Meh,
you must.
this review is so outdated and rough.
Yes,
My quality was awful. And what is going on with that salty attitude of mine? Yeah, I was salty in that review, and things have changed in the rules of Alicorn since then. Who's to say that this review can't be retouched on? All we need to do is get Rosie back in here and we can do it again. How about it, Twink? Awesome! Here, boy! Take this to Rose Pal. Her door is just down the hall, okay? Oh, wait a minute. Oh, snap, he can't fit through the door. Wait, Twink, no! Again, lightning. You didn't think things through. Ugh.
Coming! Oh, well, this is different. Wait, the rainbow colors. You must be Twink, right? Aw, aren't you the cutest thing ever? What brings you here? Oh, a note. Let's see. Looks like Blissey needs my help again. Well, time for me to head to her channel. Twink? What are you doing? Okay, this is bad.
Oh, there you are, Twink. Aside from the fact you put a hole in our channel and a gap into the cafe hallway, did you find Rose Pal okay?
More or less, Bliss, except for the fact that he swallowed me.
Twink! Twink? Good boy, but next time, tact, please. So, hey, Rosie, how's life?
Going very nicely. Blah. Anyways, what can I do for you?
Well, it's been a couple years since our last collab, and, well, I noticed how much things have changed in our fandom, especially with how Alicorns are being perceived. Some of it have changed for the better, but others not so much. You think you're up for doing a recap?
Tempting. Okay, I don't mind doing a recap, because I have some new thoughts too, since seasons 5 and 6 went by, so let's do it. Just, next time, try emailing me instead.
We've come a long way since season 1 of My Little Pony, and since that time, we've come to learn a lot about the Alicorn topics, abilities, lifespans, even whether or not ascension or birth is possible. And when it comes to this community, Alicorns can either get a lot of hate or sometimes support, depending on the creativity and originality of the creators, whether it be from the show or fans themselves. I'd like to make restatements due to my past collab with Ms. Rosepal here, because I remember at the time that I was quite spiteful to those who weren't giving Alicorn OCs a fair chance. But when I look back on the video now, I realize that some fans or viewers make pretty good points about levels or lines of Alicorn OCs and the characters in general. Alicorns get different views about how they are represented, and with the show they have rules. But it's been proven time and time again that fans of Alicorn OCs can bend and go outside the rules to create the OC that best suits them. This typically creates debates in whether or not Alicorns are even tolerated or supported.
When I see Alicorn OCs, I wasn't quite sure what to make of them, but by the time Magical Mystery Cure aired, it kinda made sense, as Twirly was newly ascended to Alicornhood after she mastered Star Sword of Beard's final spell. But when I hear people complain about Alicorn OCs, they think they are kinda Mary Sue type characters, and they have no flaws. But as we see in the show, that all the princesses do have flaws, like Luna trying to overcome herself from her past Nightmare Moon, and Twirly with a paranoia, as we see in episodes like Lesson 0 and It's About Time. And with an Alicorn OC, like for the creator Lauren Faust, her design represents that she was the one who made Friendship is Magic possible, and also being one of the amazing people who works in animation. And she is one of my idols.
Even Bonnie Zacharel has an Alicorn OC, and she was one of the founding designers of Generation 1 My Little Pony. Now some may think, but Bliss, Lauren Faust, and Bonnie Zacharel are the creators of the show and its series. They have a right to be Alicorn OCs, not you or others. What did you do to earn it? This is a good question. What does it take to earn the right to have an Alicorn OC? Do we be the creator of a show? Do we have to be someone super famous or talented? Do we have to be of real royalty or bloodline? Typically, Alicorns are seen as a deity or goddess, if not royalty, that cannot be represented by someone who's not of that stature. This goes perhaps for the rules established by the fans as what would be considered canon to the show, and there go, as they see it, no one should have an Alicorn OC unless Hasbro approves of the character and puts it in the show themselves. However, fellow bronies, this does not mean that we the fans have to follow the show's rules if we want to represent ourselves in our own way, fictional reality or fanfic base. Take my OC for instance. I am Lightning Bliss. I grew up in an inspired MLP universe that is closely tied with the realms of the internet world. This is why the Secret Rift Cafe and Regular Cafe are so apparent within my story arc. This is why my husband, Sub-Zero, can be a Frost Demon Dragon Ball Z warrior from a video game. This is why Dr. Wolf can be a sentient wolf who speaks and walks on 2 legs. This is why a talking fox like Tricky Fox is a magical being with 3 tails. It's not about following the rules of the show, but being creative with it in your own way. Needless to say, this does not mean you should go overboard with creating a character just for the sake of creating one to look good in front of your peers. There are rules to a good character development, and this goes without saying towards Alicorns as well.
I can agree with that. When it comes to creating Alicorn OCs for fan media purposes, and from what I've learned in Dr. Wolf and Titan Darker's video on how to create a good backstory, is that whenever you create a character, you have to think of what their backstory is, and think of these terms for the right reasons. I can give a specific example. I am a fan of Mad Pie Pony series Princess Trixie Sparkle, and here's a bit of spoilers for those of you who haven't read the fanfic or seen the audio drama series over on her channel. She created a third Alicorn sister for Celestial Luna called Estelle, and since the story is in the alternate universe canon to show canon, here's her own backstory. She was chosen as the apprentice of Starswell after he thought that she would take his place after he used the elements of harmony and rule Equestria and teach her about magic, and she was descended to Alicornhood. However, she is the main villain of the story, as she thought that being an immortal Alicorn was being brought to her as a curse, so she followed the dark path of getting rid of equestrian magic. Then she turned Starswell into the Tree of Harmony with the power of the Alicorn amulet as well as her dark magic. So Celestia had no choice but to banish her the tapestry before she was released in the modern age to meet with Trixie to plot her revenge against Twilight. That is a great example of how to create an Alicorn OC for fanfiction and fan media for the right reasons, with an established backstory for them.
Exactly. Just because the show established its own rules does not mean you can't create an alternate timeline or universe to establish your own ideas based off the inspirations of the My Little Pony series. But even for me, there are rules to having an Alicorn OC because I like how the show established some new rules to make the Alicorn character less OP and more relatable because they have limits. For instance, as displayed in the opening of Season 6, Luna and Celestia had to battle an aggressive winter storm that was plaguing the Crystal Empire, but even the Alicorns of the Sun and the Moon could not withstand the natural forces of the Arctic. This is a newly established rule, as it tells Alicorn owners out there that like to avoid OP magic issues that there are limits to what they can do based off the forces of nature. Even I have limits to what my magic can do. I mean, I can barely control the fact I'm an Alicorn. My established backstory led me to be thrown into the Alicorn dimension, blessed with phenomenal cosmic powers, and then spat out and forgotten. As the end result, I come to find myself within the realms of our community. Who am I as an Alicorn OC? No, seriously. Am I an Alicorn of rainbows? An Alicorn of opportunity? An Alicorn of screw-ups? I don't know. I just don't know. It's hard when you think about the representation of an Alicorn and what they are. They are a symbol of leadership, wisdom, a teacher, something that helps to benefit others that are willing to follow. If I were to really put my heart into it, I would like to try and find my purpose as an Alicorn, but
This is a new area of philosophy, but from what I can tell, when I first saw your OC Bliss, I thought it was pretty awesome. As an artist, you took a risk, and when you revealed your true self for the first time, I was astounded by your design, and I actually figured your purpose out, and I think it's been right under your nose, and I think everyone knows that. Your Alicorn seed brings out the rainbows that makes us smile every day, and create the awesome fan art you do for me and the others. And it is also represented by your Rainbow Heart cutie mark with the black thunderbolt. It not only shows the friendship you have with me and the others, but also shows the creative effort on how you create your videos as well as your fan art. I used to remember an old saying, it doesn't matter where you came from, it's what you choose to be. At least, that's what I figure.
A fair saying of wisdom there, but sometimes it's good to know who you are, so you can find out who you are supposed to be. But it sounds like we're getting too philosophical into this and...
Bliss? Is that normal?
Oh no. Oh no.
Did some cuties say philosophy? Ooh, you two talking about Alicorn philosophy without me. Aww.
Aeon! Should have recognized that voice earlier. How you doing?
Oh, much better now, dearie.
Nope. You are not collabing with us. I am not putting up with your today.
Come on now, dearie. Let me stay.
Oh, come on, Blissey. What's the harm in that? I'm sure he won't do anything... awkward.
You clearly don't know Aeon then. I am not gonna put up with your hidden agendas.
You're gonna stop me.
Move your flag before I kick it.
Ooh, promise?
Twink! Get him out!
Hi, Rainbow Puppy. Can I snuggle your tummy again?
Dang it, Twink! He's just a pony! Oh.
Okay, since I am quite a negotiator sometimes, how about this? If Aeon makes one move, Blissey, I'll use my hammer.
That sounds more like an incentive than a punishment to me.
Oh, gosh darn it, Aeon!
Anyways, well, I would love to preach how ineffective your methods would be, Rosie, because trust me, I tried! This just proves my point that the kind of Alicorn I am isn't really living up to what most viewers would describe as Alicorn expectations. I'm not a goddess, I'm not all that smart in the magic department, I'm not even of royalty. Fail. In most books for Alicorns, correct?
Oh, totally.
Aeon, just get to the point.
Relax, interloper. Though it would probably help you more if we had a more consistent idea of what that was. The show seems to dance around them being powerful and respected leaders and then being totally being worthless when it actually matters, which makes everything more inconsistent than statements made by Donald Trump. Even the goddess part of the debate has been, for a long time, held back by people who don't have an understanding of theology in the most basic sense, let alone the other required subjects. So fear not, woefully ignorant populace, we'll get to that in a moment.
The show doesn't even say anywhere that the Alicorns are deities. Some just assume so because Celestia and Luna have lived over 1,000 years. There are hints that they are considered worshipped by their ponies, but it's more like respecting their leader, and not so much a god. But certainly doesn't help when characters use the terms, as Celestia is my witness, or sweet Celestia, what have I done?
Some people call Alicorns deities because they have immense power, as we have seen Celestia and Luna used to bear the elements of harmony, to turn discord into stone, banish Somber under the ice, and when Celestia had to banish her sister to the moon when she turned into Nightmare Moon. But it turns out in the present day that the Alicorn's power, especially Celestia's, might be weakening, as she stated in the Season 2 premiere that she and Luna are no longer connected to the elements, as Twilight remained 6 in the new bearers, and the most distressing piece of evidence, when she lost her duel with Chrysalis back at the Council wedding, which made both of them surprised by the end result.
That aside, the usual problem with people trying to talk about this, and the question of Alicorn divinity, is that arguments for it seem to be based on the they are very strong ideas, and detractors mentioning that they have weaknesses, and some outdated tweets by Lauren Faust saying otherwise. The problem with both sides is that they assume a common definition of what a god is, when the term is actually very fluid, with only some general concepts being the most obvious at face value. Arguments for Alicorn divinity argue for a more pagan definition, often citing the numerous differences in power, attainment, and whatnot, as well as having roles usually assigned to pagan deities. Those usually against seem to be doing so from an Abrahamic God is perfect, so if something isn't perfect, then it isn't God definition. But these differences in definitions get us nowhere.
And from what the show tells, it's clear none of the Alicorns are perfect. They are either weakened or handicapped due to a plot convenience, or they are more meant to see as the royalty that constantly need to be saved. Princess Cadence! Still, this should tell us that in a nutshell, they aren't a literal sense of the word God. Gods know all, see all, and yet Princess Celestia can't even predict when she'll get her tail handed to her not once but twice by Queen Chrysalis. So, we're not gods, right?
You fell for it, dearie. Like it or not, you're still going on a personal definition. Though my point of contention is not so much that people try and talk about this, but more that they go into it using personal definitions without being aware of it. Ever hear of agnosticism? This entire thing suffers from a lack of awareness of this idea.
Speaking of which, there is one Alicorn that we need to discuss that has been on everyone's minds recently. Flurry Heart.
The real facehugger. Apparently firstborn in equestrian history. It's odd that Alicorns don't even appear to be a race of pony tribe. It's an ascension trait. But being born into all that power, it threw the community into an uproar for a short time, making it easier than ever before to have an Alicorn OC. Still, I argue it's a cop-out for lazy writing in the long run to simply be born into the concept. But I'm getting into character development here. What I mean is, the show is established that their universe chooses a pony once they achieved a certain level of worthiness. In this case, Twilight earned it through discovering the true magic of friendship. Princess Flurry Heart is an unknown wild card in the deck. We don't know what her achievement is or what influence she will have on her world. She could be the Alicorn of hurricanes for all I know.
It was funny seeing Flurry Heart's magical burst and everyone was trying to get it under control, since she is a newborn filly. Just like we saw in Baby Cakes when we first introduced to the Cake Twins, we saw how Pumpkin's magic was hard for Pinky to control, whilst Pound was flying around everywhere. But from the Season 6 premiere, there was something that made Bronies confused with what Celestia said when we were introduced to Flurry Heart. A natural-born Alicorn is something Equestria has ever seen, and with Luna adding, it is way beyond our understanding. Bronies were confused as to whether the sisters were natural-born Alicorns or not. Bit confusing if you ask me.
Putting aside that Equestria was founded after they were born, I'll be the meta guy who points out that it's one show with multiple authors. Inconsistencies in some area or another, or other types of snarls are bound to happen.
So what are Alicorns supposed to be then? What is their actual representation? Does it only revolve around the show, or can we have free minds and get creative in their existence? The show certainly isn't going to give us all the answers. That's why we the fans try to fill in the blanks, or come up with our own theories, until the show is gracious enough to fill in those blanks. But it doesn't help as OC Alicorns in the long run. There are rules to creating any character in your image of what is considered good, but even that is open to debate because everyone cannot fully agree on what makes a good character. Alicorns are, yes, powerful, but they have limits from what I've seen. Alicorns in the show, on average, are leaders, and for me personally, liking to keep religion out of it, much like Hasbro, they aren't gods. To me, anyway. So why all the hate? If effort is put in, then what is the harm to having an Alicorn OC?
Theological definitions aside, that last condition about effort usually isn't met by the majority. A normal pony is so much easier to write for than a character that's supposed to be an exemplar example of something significantly significant, and most don't know how to do that. People tend to be as bad at reacting to them as the typical person on the other end is at writing them.
I think writing a character is finding a balance between their yin and yang, writing their strengths as well as their flaws. Sometimes when I write fanfics, I struggle to write a character that might be of the highest levels, so that's one of my keys to writing characters, bouncing my ideas around until I find the answer I might be looking for, with a little help from other fanfic writers of course when it comes to feedback.
It's not just that, the further from normal you get, the more the storytelling uses for the character change. Often with many people making the mistake of putting an extraordinary dick extension of a character in ordinary situations, which doesn't work. After all, writing, as well as reviewing, can be placed in the same category of things such as driving cars, or charisma, or everyone only thinks they're good at it until they realize it actually takes effort.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not wrong.
Down, boy! Regardless how much effort you put into your OC, whether it be a certain Lucifer pony, a similar style of Rainbow Dash, or an extremely small Alicorn with a nasty habit at sucking at magic, your character is going to be open to criticism regardless of how much effort you put into it. Not everyone is going to agree with your efforts or creativity, but when it comes to Alicorns, yes, they are a lot more work for reasons we've spoken about. And just like me, I'm still developing my character, as I think every character should do so. If they stop, then their story tends to stop in the end. To keep an Alicorn OC, their story has to continue, as well as their development, even if they may never fully grasp the concept yet, I guess.
Aeon, what do you think you're doing?
I should be used to this by now, but seriously, what the hell are you anyway?
Oh, dearie, if only you knew.
I am so gonna get you for this, Aeon.
Of course I can taste it. She wants mine and take it. Oh, yeah. Sycophants on velvet sofas, lavish mansions, vintage wine. I am so much more than royal. Snatch your chain and maze your eyes. If it feels good, tastes good, it must